He was the gentlest soul, calm, loving, and full of quiet understanding. In December 2024, Kevin's search for a companion ended at an adoption event where he met Bluey, a tiny white and brown Pomeranian. Holding the puppy, Kevin just knew. And Bluey nuzzled into his chest, instantly trusting his first parent and protector. The first week with Bluey was magical for Kevin. He'd prepared a cozy corner with a soft bed, tiny bowls, pads, and toys, then watched as Bluey cautiously explored, discovering his reflection and the warmest spots to curl up. Waking to find him sleeping at his feet made all the preparation worthwhile. As the weeks passed, Bluey's gentle personality shone through. He never barked aggressively, nipped, or showed any territorial behavior. When Kevin came home, he'd just sit quietly, his tail wagging slowly, patiently waiting for a cuddle, because his favorite thing in the world was being petted. Bluey developed an absolute devotion to being petted. He'd gently lean against a leg, a subtle but clear invitation for attention. As his soft fur was stroked, he'd close his eyes in pure bliss, little content sighs escaping his tiny body. If you stopped, one eye would open, a polite request to continue. He received affection with that same gentleness, never pawing aggressively or whining impatiently. But as much as Kevin loved Bluey, a difficult reality began to set in. His work demanded long hours at the office, sometimes 12-hour days, and he had career ambitions and social commitments too. Coming home to Bluey waiting patiently by the door, having spent the day alone, weighed heavily on Kevin's conscience. Bluey never complained, but Kevin could see in those trusting eyes that the little Pomeranian needed more than a busy professional could provide. The guilt became harder and harder to bear. Everything changed when Kevin decided to purchase his first home. It was a significant milestone, but one demanding all his attention, with renovations, mortgage meetings, and countless projects. So one evening, with Bluey curled up in his lap, Kevin had an honest conversation with himself. Bluey deserved more than being an afterthought. He deserved someone who could be present, with time to play, train, and shower him with the constant love he so patiently waited for. Kevin's mother, who had raised dogs all his life, was now retired with an abundance of love to give. Kevin saw how her face lit up around Bluey. She'd sit on the floor, petting him and talking in that special voice until he fell asleep in her lap, completely at ease. Kevin realized a perfect solution was taking shape. Kevin knew what he had to do, but the decision was one of the hardest he'd ever made. He loved Bluey deeply, his heart aching at the thought of no longer coming home to that fluffy white and brown face. But love means sacrifice, putting Bluey's needs above his own desires. One evening, he called his mom and asked if she would take Bluey permanently. After a pause, her warm voice assured him she would be honored. It was bittersweet, the day Kevin brought Bluey to his mom's house for good. He carried in the curious pup's bed, toys, and food bowls to a special corner she'd prepared. Kneeling for one last long hug, Kevin whispered promises to visit often. As his mom's reassuring hand rested on his shoulder, Bluey licked his face gently, as if understanding, and began to explore his wonderful new home. For months, Tiffany sought the perfect retirement gift for her mother, a devoted dog lover who had given her family so much. After careful research, a toy poodle seemed perfect, small, intelligent, and wonderfully affectionate. Her search led to a reputable breeder specializing in red toy poodles, where one special puppy captured her heart. In Kentucky, a highly recommended breeder with years of experience raised healthy, well-socialized toy poodles. Over hours of video calls, Tiffany studied their health records and personalities. One tiny red poodle stood out, adventurous yet cuddly, playful yet calm when held. The breeder noted her special spark and love for human attention. She was the perfect choice. Generous and adventurous, Linda knew how important this gift was to their mother and Tiffany, and she wanted everything to be perfect. She took time off work, booked a flight, researched airline pet policies, and purchased a TSA-approved carrier, carefully coordinating with the breeder to ensure the puppy was old enough to fly, but still young enough to bond quickly. On a bright mid-May morning in 2025, Linda flew to Kentucky, her pet carrier empty, but her heart full of anticipation. On the flight, she imagined her mother's reaction. After landing, Linda rented a car and drove to a beautiful rural property where puppies played in secure outdoor pens. The breeder's genuine love for these animals was clear in every detail. Greeted warmly, she was led to the waiting red toy poodles, her mission reaching its most exciting moment. When the breeder placed the impossibly small red toy poodle into Linda's cupped hands, she understood Tiffany's choice. The puppy snuggled close, and feeling its rapid heartbeat, Linda embraced the joyful responsibility of bringing her home. The return journey was an adventure in itself. In an airline-approved carrier, tucked under the seat, Linda watched over her tiny passenger. The puppy slept for most of the flight, occasionally stirring to look around with curious eyes. Other passengers noticed the carrier and smiled knowingly. Everyone loves a puppy. Linda whispered reassurances through the mesh, promising that soon they would be home, where someone would love her forever. And on this important journey, the little puppy seemed to trust Linda completely. May 19th, 2025 began as just an ordinary Tuesday for Kevin and Tiffany's mother. She was relaxing in her living room, with Bluey napping peacefully nearby, when the doorbell rang. On the doorstep stood Linda, holding a carrier with a knowing smile. Before their mom could even ask what was happening, Linda opened the carrier door and lifted out the tiniest red toy poodle anyone had ever seen. Their mother's hands flew to her mouth, her eyes immediately filled with tears as she whispered, "Is this really for me?" A moment the family will treasure forever was when their mother first held Daisy. Tears streamed down her face as she sat on the couch, cradling the impossibly small puppy, feeling its warmth and tiny heartbeat. Daisy looked up with complete trust as their mom kept saying, "She's so small. She's so perfect. I can't believe this is real." Awakened by the commotion, Bluey trotted over to investigate and was met by a reassuring hand reaching down from the other. After an hour of pure joy with their new puppy, the family considered all sorts of names. But then, Mom looked down at the tiny red toy poodle's innocent eyes and said, "Daisy." It was perfect. Simple, sweet, and cheerful. Little Daisy seemed to respond, perhaps just to her new mother's gentle voice. That first evening with Bluey and Daisy was for careful introductions. Mom set a second bed next to Bluey's, with tiny bowls and toys for the toy poodle. Daisy sniffed every corner, always returning to Mom for reassurance. Bluey watched with patient curiosity, sometimes sniffing her before returning to his spot. As evening fell, both dogs settled near their mom. Where Bluey was calm, little Daisy was a 3-pound force of nature. Perpetually in motion, she investigated everything with enthusiastic energy. Their mom watched in amazement as, for no apparent reason, Daisy would suddenly take off sprinting. Her tiny legs moved at incredible speed, a comical sight of bouncing red fur, as she did 3 laps around the living room, stopping abruptly to see if anyone was watching. Among their mom's new puppy toys was a small, textured rubber ball, perfect for a tiny mouth. The moment Daisy saw it, something clicked. She pounced, looked up to say, "Throw this," and after a gentle toss, shot off like a red rocket to bring it right back. The game of fetch had begun. For Daisy, what began as a cute game became a sweet, all-consuming obsession. From morning till night, she'd bring her ball to Mom, family, or even a confused Bluey. If no one would play, she'd bat it and chase it herself, with the stamina to go for 50 minutes straight. For Daisy, the word enough simply didn't exist when it came to fetch. 20, 30, even 50 throws until their mom's arm ached. But Daisy, tail wagging, always wanted more. She'd ignore other toys. The only way to stop was to hide the ball, and she'd just stare at the spot, whining, willing it to reappear. Incredibly small for a toy poodle, Daisy played fetch with big dog determination, leaping into flips or squeezing under furniture. She'd emerge triumphant, ball in mouth, red fur dusty. Though her mom worried, the patter of her tiny feet proved her energy source was infinite. From the couch, Bluey watched Daisy's ball chase with bemused patience. He much preferred pets to running. If invited to play, he'd offer a polite sniff, one gentle push, and a look that clearly said, "Game complete, time to rest." Their mom found herself managing two completely different personalities with very different needs. Bluey needed quiet time, gentle pets, and a calm environment to feel secure. Daisy, meanwhile, craved activity, engagement, mental stimulation, and someone to throw the ball approximately 600 times per day. So a loving routine took shape. Morning cuddles with Bluey, fetch sessions with Daisy while he napped, afternoon walks carrying Daisy part way, and evening calm time, petting Bluey with one hand while holding a tired Daisy in the other. Daisy's intelligence was clear right away. She learned so quickly, but not for the treats their mom bought. Her true motivation was the ball, making her a straight A student for a game of fetch. Housebreaking tiny Daisy was a challenge, as her small accidents were so easy to miss. Their mom set up training pads and a schedule, and while older Bluey was fine, Daisy had her own method, a 30-second mid-fetch sprint to the pad and back, ready for the next throw. What looked like hyperactivity was actually intelligence with intense focus. Daisy's play was strategic. She learned how the ball would bounce, anticipated her mom's movements for optimal retrieval, and knew dropping it on the couch made another throw more likely. Behind her bright eyes was a sharp mind devoted to the art and science of fetch. Under their mom's watchful eye, Bluey, the calm only dog, met Daisy, the energetic puppy. It was a careful dance, a fluffy Zen master meeting a tiny bouncing tornado. From the very beginning, Bluey's patience with Daisy was remarkable. If an energetic Daisy accidentally bumped him during a fetch sprint, he'd simply steady himself. If she tried to steal his toys, he would gently take them back without any aggression. And when she used her tiny puppy bark for attention, Bluey would calmly offer a single sniff before returning to his spot. He was teaching her through his gentle example. Convinced fetch was the greatest game, Daisy desperately wanted Bluey to play. She'd bring her beloved ball and wait, her tiny tail wagging so hard her whole back end shook. Bluey would just look from the ball to Daisy, then politely away. He never understood her daily attempts, but he never discouraged them. Their mom noticed subtle, heartwarming changes. Initially, they kept to separate areas of the house, but gradually that distance between them shrank. You might find Bluey on the couch with Daisy resting on the floor directly beneath him. When their mom sat in her chair, both dogs would be at her feet, together now instead of in different rooms. During meals, their food bowls were side by side, with no aggression whatsoever. And when she sat to watch TV, Bluey would settle on one side of her as Daisy curled up on the other. Their mom would always remember the first night they slept near each other. She had set up separate beds, but after a tiring day of fetch, Daisy curled against Bluey's. He opened one eye, saw the tiny red poodle, and simply made room. By morning, she was in his bed, welcomed without complaint. Their mom's worries vanished, replaced by indescribable joy. She'd feared gentle Bluey might feel jealous, or that energetic Daisy was simply too much. Instead, she watched them connect. Daisy checking on Bluey during fetch, and Bluey patiently letting Daisy sniff his ears. These moments meant everything. She learned their silent language, how Bluey's ears back meant space, and his walking away from Daisy's insistent bow meant not now. A nose bump was a low, and Daisy, dropping her ball, chose companionship over her passion. Then, about 3 weeks after Daisy's arrival, came the breakthrough. From the kitchen, their mom heard unusual sounds and peeked. Bluey was play-bowing to Daisy, who bounced in a careful dance. After a few minutes, he calmly sat down, ending their gentle play. A real friendship was forming. Their mom soon noticed a sweet pattern. When one was out of sight, the other went looking. If Bluey woke from a nap in the bedroom, he'd find Daisy and their mom. While playing fetch, Daisy would abandon her ball just to check on Bluey. They simply sought each other's presence, a quiet awareness that spoke to their developing bond. Beautifully, they learned to respect each other's boundaries. Daisy understood Bluey's couch was his sanctuary, and Bluey honored the joyful world Daisy had with her ball. With no conflicts for their mom to referee, they were simply two different natures learning to share a life. Every morning began the same way. Their mom would wake to find both dogs waiting patiently, though that meant different things for each. Bluey sat calmly, his tail giving a gentle wag. Daisy vibrated with energy, squeaking with excitement that today surely involved ball throwing. Mom scooped up Bluey first for his quiet cuddle, while Daisy raced to find her ball, a loving routine that acknowledged both their individual needs. Mealtimes perfectly showcased their differences. After their mom set down 2 bowls, carefully portioned for their sizes, Bluey would approach his with dignity, sniff him appreciatively before eating at a measured pace. Daisy, however, attacked her bowl, eating so quickly their mom worried she might choke. Done in 30 seconds, she'd eye Bluey's bowl with interest, but had learned his food was off limits. With their very different energies, walk time took careful coordination. A double leash failed. Daisy loved to sprint, while Bluey preferred a leisurely sniff. So they had separate walks, and their mom lovingly moderated when they were together. Neighbors simply adored the mismatched pair. By midday, the living room was Daisy's personal training ground for fetch. With Olympic-level dedication, she developed trick catches, jumping for mid-air snags, sliding to grab bounces, even using furniture to launch higher. Their mom once stopped counting at 120 throws, as Bluey watched from his couch perch with a look of admiration, bewilderment, or a mix of both. While Daisy poured her energy into fetch, Bluey had perfected the art of peaceful observation. From his spot on the couch, he had a perfect view of the entire room. He would watch their mom cook dinner or follow Daisy's game with steady attention, his head turning with the ball's trajectory, his body never moving. He was content to be a spectator, and his serene presence had a calming effect on everyone. After lunch, they napped differently. Daisy played fetch till her tiny legs trembled, dropped the ball, and stumbled to Bluey. He'd wake slightly, adjusting as she curled up against him. Their mom's heart melted, tiptoeing past them, sleeping peacefully together. Visitors were always charmed by the dynamic duo. Energetic Daisy would instantly bring her ball to play, while gentle Bluey waited patiently for pets. Friends would laugh and happily take shifts, throwing the ball, then petting Bluey. Their mom gradually adapted the house, making it a perfect haven for both dogs. Bluey's favorite couch cushion received a special soft blanket that was his alone. By the couch, a basket held Daisy's ball collection. Not just one, but several, because backup balls were essential for Daisy's mental health. Gates went up for safety, and multiple water bowls ensured they never went thirsty. And though a variety of toys were offered, everyone knew Daisy only cared about balls. The quiet retirement space had transformed into a home centered entirely around these two. Their mom was careful to give each dog the right kind of attention. For Bluey, it was 20 minutes of quiet morning cuddles, listening with attentive eyes as she softly whispered her plans for the day. And for Daisy, while Bluey napped, it was special fetch time in the backyard, running at full speed as their mom threw the ball far. These individual moments ensured both dogs felt uniquely loved. As evening fell, a calm would finally settle on the household. Daisy, exhausted from a full day of fetch, accepted that ball time was over. Once their mom was in her favorite chair with a book or remote, like clockwork, both dogs would join her. Bluey climbed beside her, his head on her lap, sighing contentedly as she petted him. At her feet, or on the opposite side, Daisy's tiny body curled up, finally at rest. In these evening hours, the house felt complete. When people asked if two dogs were twice the work, their mom would laugh, saying, "Yes, but 10 times the joy." Bluey brought calm, steady love, a grounding meditation for her days. Daisy brought energetic laughter and purpose, with every enthusiastic demand to play ball. Together, they provided companionship, entertainment, and unconditional love, transforming her retirement from quiet solitude into joyful purpose. Their differences soon became complementary. Bluey, the wise old soul, taught calm, while Daisy, the eternal puppy, taught joyful play. Their mom marveled. They balanced each other perfectly. Their mom soon learned what each dog valued. Bluey was food motivated, doing anything from sit to stay for a small training treat. Daisy, however, cared little for food. Her currency was the ball itself, her reward, motivation, and purpose. Rainy days revealed even more personality differences. Bluey hated getting wet, giving his mom such a pitiful look that she'd hold an umbrella over him for bathroom breaks. Daisy, on the other hand, barely noticed the weather. If her ball was outside, she would sprint through rain, snow, or apocalyptic conditions to retrieve it. Their mom has photos of a soaked Daisy triumphantly holding her ball, while Bluey watched from the safety of the doorway with an expression that clearly said, "She's insane." Bedtime was a cherished ritual. At their mom's announcement, Bluey would slowly make his way to his designated spot at the foot of the bed. Daisy would sprint to check her ball was safe for tomorrow, then zoom to the bedroom. With an impressive jump, she'd circle 3 times and settle near Bluey. As their mom drifted off, grateful for her 2 perfect companions. The shift from tolerating to loving was clear one sunny afternoon. Daisy's ball was stuck under a bush. After pawing, barking, and digging, she barked urgently at Bluey. Normally ignoring her, Bluey followed, using his larger paw to calmly hook the ball out and walk away. Daisy prabbed it, but before racing off, she returned to lick his face. Their unique way of playing worked perfectly for them. From his favorite cushion, Bluey watched Daisy zoom with her ball, dropping it nearby to include him. He'd bat it with his paw if it rolled too close, which Daisy saw as playing along. When Daisy took a break, he'd gently groom her ears, an interaction that honored both their natures. Despite their differences, they became fiercely protective of one another. On walks, Bluey stood guard before Daisy near larger dogs. At home, Daisy barked her tiny, fierce bark at strangers to protect him. And if Daisy was scolded, Bluey would gently comfort her. They were each other's protectors and comfort. The evolution of their sleeping arrangements tells the story of their deepening bond. It started with separate beds. Then Daisy slept against Bluey's bed, and soon right in it. Finally, Bluey would look for Daisy before settling down. Their mom bought them a larger shared bed, and now finds them curled up together, Bluey's fluffy white and brown fur mixing with Daisy's red coat. They're a perfect yin-yang of canine companionship, always sprawled across each other with no sense of personal space. Separate toys, treats, and spaces slowly gave way to sharing. Daisy learned Bluey's toys were available. Bluey, that Daisy's wire was closer. They sat together for treats, Bluey unconcerned who was first. All gifts joined a communal pile. Mine and yours had become ours. Their mom watched fascinated as Bluey and Daisy developed their own silent language, anticipating each other's every need, from a walk to the door to a shared drink. When Bluey went to the vet, Daisy waited by the door, her ball untouched, exploding with joy only at his return. And when Daisy was gone, a restless Bluey would sniff her bed, looking to their mom with worried eyes. They had simply become essential to each other. Dinner time revealed Bluey and Daisy's coordinated strategy. When their mom cooked, Bluey would sit perfectly, striking his "I'm such a good boy" pose. Daisy added the dramatic flair, spinning, doing her best tricks, and barking to draw attention to him. It was a perfect, unplanned, good cop, bad cop routine. Their mom couldn't resist their combined efforts and would often give in with small, dog-safe treats. Together, they were an irresistible force. Their nap schedules became mysteriously synchronized. Whether Daisy was playing fetch or Bluey was simply awake, when one decided it was nap time, the other would follow within minutes. Their mom would watch Bluey yawn and settle, and then Daisy would stop, yawn herself, and trot over to join him. It was as if their internal clocks were now one. Their greeting for Mom's return was a choreographed performance. Daisy reached her first, bouncing with chaotic joy, ball in mouth, then ran back toward Bluey's calm approach. Bluey arrived second, his slow tail wag a more dignified hello. Then both escorted her inside, Daisy leading at high speed, Bluey following at a measured pace. You see, Bluey hated rain, while Daisy didn't care. This very difference became a bonding point. On rainy days, Daisy abandoned her ball to keep Bluey company inside. When it was sunny, she'd play fetch nearby while Bluey sunbathed, periodically checking on him. They had learned to adapt. The most shocking development came when Bluey played with Daisy's ball, not because he loved fetch, but because he loved Daisy. Lying on the floor, he pushed it with his nose for an ecstatic Daisy to chase and bring back. For 5 minutes they repeated this, 100% more fetch than his entire life. Their mom watched, teary-eyed, realizing he did it all simply to make his friend happy. Remember how Daisy used to finish in seconds just to watch Bluey eat slowly? That changed. Now she waits patiently for him, and they drink side by side from their shared water bowl. Bluey even leaves a few pieces for Daisy to finish, a level of trust their mom never taught that simply emerged from their friendship. In subtle ways, Bluey and Daisy became teachers to each other. Daisy learned from Bluey to find calm without always needing to play fetch, while Bluey learned from Daisy that gentle play could be joyful. Their friendship made them both better, more balanced dogs. The bond between Bluey and Daisy had become truly unbreakable. They were a matched pair who had learned each other's hearts, sharing joy, soothing stress. They had chosen each other because their differences complemented so perfectly, and their mom often marveled at the perfect fit. A favorite family story comes from one breezy afternoon when Daisy's ball sailed right over the fence. She was so frantic, jumping, barking, and digging, that even Bluey came outside to investigate her distress. As their mom went to knock on the neighbor's door, Daisy paced back and forth. But when the neighbor appeared holding the ball, Daisy's joy exploded into 3 complete backflips. Charmed by the tiny red poodle's passion, the neighbor now keeps treats by her door, just for Daisy. One day, after sad news and a difficult phone call, their mom sat tearfully on the couch. Bluey immediately rested his head on her lap for 2 hours with understanding eyes. Daisy left her ball and curled on her other side. Both were essential piffs. One afternoon, their mom mistakenly left a bag of dog treats on the low coffee table. 5 minutes later, she found a covert operation in progress. Bluey, who could barely reach, was using his nose to push the bag to the edge, while Daisy served as lookout and encouragement below. The bag fell, and just as both dogs were trying to open it, their mom walked in. The guilty looks on their faces were priceless. Bluey's ears were back, and Daisy was frozen mid-pawbat. She just laughed. Their first winter brought Bluey and Daisy's first snow day as a pair. Bluey, having seen snow before, was hesitant but willing. Daisy, who never had, touched it cautiously, jumped back, then decided it was amazing. She leaped like a tiny red dolphin through white waves, disappearing completely and exploding up with a snowy face. Bluey watched calmly and then followed her, while their mom took about 100 photos. Every 6 weeks, the dogs needed grooming, and their mom learned to schedule them together to avoid separation. Their groomer loved their different challenges. Bluey stood perfectly still for everything, bathing, brushing, nail trimming, with an air of patient martyrdom. Daisy, however, treated grooming like an athletic event, shaking water everywhere and protesting her nail trim loudly. If separated, both grew anxious and became impossible, but together they were manageable. Their bond extended even to grooming tolerance. Car rides revealed another wonderful contrast in their personalities. For their safety, their mom used a secured carrier, where their opposite reactions were on full display. Bluey found the motion soothing, curling up immediately to sleep through any journey, regardless of length. Daisy, however, treated every car ride as a thrilling adventure, requiring her constant vigilance. She would press her face to the mesh, whining with excitement as the world zipped by. On long trips, Daisy's energy would finally fade, and she'd fall asleep, inevitably cuddled against the already sleeping Bluey. At the small dog park, Bluey stayed safely by their mom, while fearless Daisy invited dogs 10 times her size to chase her, ball in mouth. Though most dogs were gentle, their mom watched nervously, always keeping them leashed. And through it all, calm Bluey stayed alert, quietly monitoring his friend's safety. The first major thunderstorm they experienced together taught their mom something new. Bluey, despite his calm nature, was terrified of thunder, shaking as he tried to hide under furniture. Daisy, surprisingly, wasn't bothered at all. But seeing her friend so scared, she did something remarkable. She left her ball, squeezed in beside him, and stayed through the storm, just being present. Bluey slowly calmed with Daisy pressed against him. Their mom joined them with blankets. For socialization and new skills, their mom enrolled them in obedience class, where the instructor quickly saw they were the most mismatched pair. Bluey mastered every command: sit, stay, down, come, with such effortless perfection, he simply seemed bored. Daisy, though just as intelligent, only mastered commands if her ball was the reward. While both graduated, Bluey did so with dignity, and Daisy with enthusiastic chaos. Even vet visits became a shared experience that highlighted their bond. Their clinic kindly allowed both dogs in the examination room together, which made everything so much easier. During Bluey's exam, Daisy would sit quietly, a miracle in itself, and watch, as if monitoring to make sure the vet was being gentle. For Daisy's examination, Bluey would stand at attention, keeping a watchful eye on his companion. When vaccinations were necessary, whichever dog was receiving the shot stayed calmer, just as long as the other was visible. Their vet commented she'd never seen such a strong support system. Life has settled into a beautiful rhythm. Each day starts with Bluey's gentle cuddles and Daisy's excited energy, and moves through fetch, naps, walks, and meals. Evenings end with both dogs settled close, content and peaceful. This predictable routine is never boring. Their mom laughs at Daisy's antics and finds peace in Bluey's calm presence. making her retirement full and rich. Their mom often reflects on the change. Before Bluey, she felt aimless. He gave her purpose and companionship. Then Daisy arrived, turning that companionship into constant joy and laughter. Together, they are her reason to get up, structuring her days with unconditional love. She's healthier from their walks, happier from their laughter, and more connected to family. These two small dogs transformed her life. Kevin's regular visits confirm he made the right decision, as he's always amazed at how Bluey has thrived. When Tiffany visits, she takes videos of Daisy's fetch performances, while Linda frequently stops by, remembering she brought Daisy all the way from Kentucky. The entire extended family now loves them both. Nieces and nephews ask about them. Holidays include special dog-safe treats, and family photos always include the dogs. They aren't just pets, they are family, and every person shares a special relationship with each of them. Their mom learned to appreciate the small, daily miracles. Bluey resting his head on her lap, Daisy sleeping with her ball, them napping curled together, Bluey licking Daisy's face in greeting, and Daisy dropping her ball to check on him. These tiny moments built a life of love, so she started a journal to capture the constant joy they create. Bluey brought peace, calm, and unconditional gentleness to their home. His patient nature taught their mom about presence, and petting him became a meditative gift, a cherished connection representing the stillness, loyalty, and steady love she needed. Daisy brought joy, laughter, and vital energy to their home, teaching their mom to live with passionate abandon. Her inspiring persistence with fetch and her tiny size but enormous personality prove that limitations are self-imposed. She is the joy of play, making their house feel truly alive. Together, Bluey and Daisy taught us that differences don't divide, but strengthen. Their friendship proves that true community is built on respect and genuine care, a profound lesson in how love multiplies. Walk into their home and you can feel the love that fills it. You'll see dog toys scattered around, mostly balls for Daisy. And while there are 2 dog beds, the dogs are usually sharing one. There are water bowls, grooming supplies, and photos on the refrigerator of both dogs sleeping together. The whole house smells like home, a mix of happy dog, clean laundry, and whatever their mom cooked for dinner. In every corner, there is evidence of a life being fully lived and love being freely given. This is what a home should feel like. Their mom knows why they work so well. Each provides what the other lacks. Bluey's gentle calm is a safe place for Daisy's energy. Daisy's enthusiasm reminds Bluey life is exciting. They balance perfectly by celebrating their differences, never changing each other, and are perfect together because of it. This isn't an ending, but a beginning for Bluey, the white and brown Pomeranian, and Daisy, the tiny red toy poodle. These best friends brought their family closer, promising their mom years of fetch, cuddles, naps, and love. More adventures always await, thunderstorms to weather, snow days to explore, and visitors to charm. Their story continues every day, and that's the most beautiful, happy ending of all.